That's 6. 3 more. Yeah, it's still hot. All right, guys. That's 9 sheets unloaded. We think we'll need 8 to 9 sheets more after that, but that'll give me a good start on everything. Sorry, I'm really out of breath. Had to pause there and catch my breath a little bit. I ain't as young as I used to be, but that'll give us a really good start. I think we're gonna need 8 to 9 sheets more. So yeah, we got to do a little run to Home Depot. We're gonna buy a gallon of wood glue. I'm gonna look at my screws. I think I have the screws that I'll need, but we may go ahead and get some more screws too. And yeah, I think that's about what we're gonna need for right now. Oh, I got to look at a flush trim bit too. So, but besides that, let's make a quick store run and get back and maybe cut up some plywood, eh? Alrighty, guys, now that we finally have the table set up, we've got our plywood, it's time to go ahead and get cutting some new pieces. So we're going to get set up here. I'm just going to kind of zoom through some of these. Like I said, I have 9 pieces, so I'm hoping I have enough to at least get the bottom and the sides down. We're going to be doing 3 layers on everything, so we're going to be cutting a piece, and then I'll make sure everything's perfect with that one. And then since I am hand cutting these, I kind of have to be careful on my pieces to make them match, right? My last box I did that was in the Suburban, I keep saying the last box, it was 2 boxes ago, but my last big build that was a very successful one, on all my pieces that were double and triple layered, I hand cut all of them individually. Some of them were slightly off, so I had to do a lot of like filling in with some adhesive and sanding and stuff like that. So, and I really don't want to go through all that this time. So this time we have a flush trim bit. So we are going to cut a piece of wood, make sure it's absolutely perfect when we make the cut. We can really take our time. And then I'm going to take a flush trim bit and I'll overcut the next piece by, you know, whatever, an 1/8 of an inch or less, 1/16 of an inch, but I'll overcut it just a little bit. We'll screw them together, screw the 2 pieces together, and then we'll use our flush trim bit and we'll go with a router and make it an exact copy. So without further ado, let's get started. I already damaged my dadgum birch, so that's awesome. Oh well, it'll still work. We're going to use it anyway. A tip for anybody doing this at home like I am, kind of on a table and outside and, you know, sweating their butt off. When you use a tape measure, use the same tape measure for the entire thing, because tape measures can be off a little bit. If you'll see on this one, see that joint right there? See how there's actually a little bit of a hair bit of a space between the metal end that you hook on stuff to measure and the rest of the tape. It was a lot worse. And so what I did on my tape measure, this wiggles a little bit. So I took some glue and I went in here and pushed this all the way down, and I glued this entire thing so that it doesn't move anymore when I go to measure. And because if you ever push it up against something and then go to measure something, you don't fully pull it back out, now your 2 measurements will be different. So that makes them a lot closer. And it's just a nice little tip for you. So there you go. You wouldn't think Milwaukee would make a tape measure that would have a wiggly end, but it had that since new. So anyway, we're still going to use it, and as long as we use the same tape measure, it'll be the same throughout the whole build. Oh, and also use an ink pen. Don't use a pencil, because as pencils wear down, your lines get really wide. So use something like an ink pen or a really fine tip marker, and that'll really help. You'll probably see the mosquitoes flying around. There's a lot of them out here. Check that line all the way down. Make sure that that is exactly what we needed. Now we're going to do the same thing on this. I got stuff all in my eye. Alright, so I had to make an executive decision because I got to adding this up. And my bottom piece is a little bit over half of the sheet of plywood. Like I said, it's 49 inches wide is what I'm going for here. But I could not find any 49-inch plywood, and I called every lumber yard within an hour of here to try to find slightly oversized. I know they make it, but nobody around here had it. So with this birch, it's 48 inches wide. So to make the cuts, I basically had to turn the sheet on its head. And what that means is that I cannot get two pieces of either the bottom or sides out of one sheet of plywood. So basically, if I'm running 3 layers, which I am, I would have to cut 3 separate sheets of plywood to get those 3 pieces. And I wouldn't be able to use that wood for really anything else. Like, there's a few things, but I'm going to have, like, I don't know, 9 half sheets or six, maybe more like 6 half sheets just sitting in here that I can't do anything with. So what it basically came out down to, and the executive decision that I made, is I'm going to laminate the middle piece, and I'm just going to piece it together. So when I made my first cut, I have, basically the other half of the plywood. So basically what I'm going to do is I took this sheet that's on top of here, my full sheets down below that I've already cut, and then this sheet was just a couple inches short on the width. So basically what I did was take this sheet, which was one sheet, and cut it right down the middle, and then spread it apart to either end, and that left me with a 2.5 inch gap in the middle. Sorry, I'm talking with a screw hanging out of my mouth, but it left me a 2.5 inch gap. Well, with the remnant of the cut that I made to make this the width it is, I basically cut a strip that's 2.5 inches wide and fits perfectly in the middle. Everything lines up really good, and I'm just going to glue and screw all 3 of these pieces as one sheet, and then basically put another full sheet over the top of that, laminating the one with the seams. I don't think I'm going to lose any structural integrity, because I mean, when you have a 3-layer setup, the bottom piece and the top piece are the two that take most of the bending force. This middle piece is just for thickness and extra rigidity. So I don't think this is going to be a problem, and it's basically going to save me a lot of plywood. I mean, just between the bottom and sides, it's going to save me three sheets. So this is what I'm going to do. It took me a while to come to that decision. I looked up a lot of stuff online, did a lot of research before I made that choice to go ahead and do that. So that's what we're going to do. But I don't think I'm going to lose anything. So why spend a lot more money basically for no added? It is a little bit of extra work. Like, I mean, obviously I have to cut that sheet and then cut my strip to go down the middle. So it's a little extra work. But I think when it comes down to it, I think I'm going to be really happy that I did that. So anyway, we're going to get back to it. Alright, so that's that. Now we want to go ahead and quickly get our little 2.5-inch strip going. I should have planned this all out a little better because I don't know what I did with my gallon of glue. I think it's in the truck. Edge. And then just need this entire strip done. That's what I wanted to see. Got one more screw, and that's got the laminate strip. Alrighty. But unfortunately, I do not have the screws already done for this side. But we will quickly do them, hopefully before any of this wood glue sets. And we have kind of a disaster on our hands. Alright, I've got a good overhang all the way around. Like I said, I'm going to go back around with a flush trim bit anyway, so I'm just making sure I have overhang on this top piece all the way around. It looks like I do. So I need to quickly throw some pilot holes in. Alright, so here's the pilot holes. Now we just need to get this piece up and out of the way. We'll throw down and splooge out some more glue on that. And then we will start screwing her in. Plywood covered, and then we're going to pour down this edge before we put this in here. I'm going to do the same thing I did on that one while ago. I'm going to put a bead directly down this edge. Start screwing her in. Alright guys, as you can see I am sweating. We're going to call it a night there. I kind of did that middle seam. Like I said, my cuts weren't exactly as just super even as I wanted. Like there was a little bit of a gap. Just a hair bit. I mean, not bad at all. Like, not even enough that I would say it needed PL. Like, I mean, I think the wood glue is going to bond it just fine. But it wasn't just like a hairline, you know, factory edge or anything. So I just put a lot of extra glue all down both of the seams, and then kind of just smoothed it all out with my finger. I'm going to let that dry overnight, and I'm going to come back tomorrow, sand it all flat again, and then throw the top of the sandwich on there, the third piece. And then we'll go around with our flush trim bit. We'll do one side, go around, do the other side, and yeah. That should be just great. Like I said, I don't foresee that laminate layer causing any issues, any structural issues whatsoever. Side complete. So after that, we're gonna put together the two sides, and that way we can go ahead and get all three of those pieces in the vehicle, and then we'll have two angled roof pieces and the roof piece before we can finally start seeing it take shape. I should be able to get through all of that with the plywood that I have now. I still have 8 more sheets, so I'm hoping to be able to get the shell minus the front, back, and baffle completed. And then we can start worrying about buying the second round of plywood. So yeah, anyway, we'll talk at you guys later. I'm not sure if I'm going to make this a separate video and then come back and make a separate one again. I may just tie them together. It just depends how much footage I have at this point. But anyway, so we'll catch you later. What's going on, y'all? It's the next night, and yeah, I haven't really filmed a whole lot because frankly I'm just kind of doing the same thing over and over again. We got the bottom cut and I slid it in there, and I'll show you that, guys, before we end this video. I'll show you the bottom all in there, but right now I'm just cutting out one of the side walls, and I'm gonna flip the camera around. But yeah, we're doing the same piece part we did before. All I'm doing is about to glue down this one side, and then we'll take up the middle piece. I've got it all screwed down. I'll take up the middle piece, glue that down, and then we'll glue down the right piece. But I'll show you kind of what I'm doing there. I got the bottom piece, like my original piece, all cut out and made sure it was perfectly square and that the measurements were completely exact. And then I just cut 3 pieces basically with the strip down the middle. I'm going to show you real quick while we're here. You'll see it again after it's all glued and everything. But see, I've got a strip cut down the middle, and then an identical piece to this piece over here. So I've got this piece and this piece are equal, and then a 2.5 strip down the middle, 2.5 inch strip down the middle, and then we're going to sandwich a whole nother like whole sheet over the top of this, which I already have cut right over there. And with every step, I'm just over cutting everything, and then I take a flush trim bit off my router here. I just take that flush trim bit, and basically it's just rinse and repeat over and over and over again. And we're going to do that on every panel. So this is the first wall. Like I said, I got the bottom piece done. This is the first wall that I'm doing here, the side wall, and then we'll do the other side wall to match this one. And I will probably just lay a piece down again and flush trim this and just make an identical copy again. But yeah, from here on it'll pretty much just be this. We got to do the angled pieces, which I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that right now because my table saw, I went to move the blade up a while ago and the handle broke off of it, and the saw, what makes the saw move up and down in the table is I don't know if it's rusted shut or what, but it won't move. I haven't used that table saw in a while. It's been stored in here, I just haven't used it in a while. So anyway, we're just out here in the garage. I've got the AC running over there in the corner. We've got the door shut tonight. I keep having to open it every time I do some routering. I really need to get me some masks while I'm doing this stuff, but you can hear my sinuses are running. But yeah, we're fixing to get that piece glued down and then move on from there. Glue these 3 pieces and then get that piece slapped on top. You kind of have to make sure your drill's charged and you got your screws ready and all that, because you kind of got to do this part pretty fast, because as each piece goes down, you don't want it to dry before you get the next piece butted up to it. So I'm just putting down plenty of glue, and then taking my little handy dandy scraper here, just making sure I'm getting full coverage on my plywood. I'm gonna be honest, I've never used to do this. This is the first build I've done this on. I just heard to do this so many times. This will be my 3rd wall that I've built, and I've built a lot of different speaker boxes. I'm going to be honest, I've never done this, and I've never had an issue with a panel buzzing or starting to separate. It's just one of those things. I know it's just so you make sure. Like I said, this is the first time I've done this. I may have got way too much glue on this one. I've got quite the pool of glue going on, but I guess it's better to have too much rather than not enough. I'm making sure to go all the way to the edges. This is definitely a lot more messy this way, but like I said, I know a lot of very prominent box builders, this is what they do, so I'm sure this is what I should do as well. So that's why we're doing it. I really want to make sure if there's a pool of glue to make sure that it's against this middle piece. That way when I go to sandwich this middle piece here in a minute, Make sure we have full coverage on that. Clean and ready to go. Just drop that into place. Alright, 2 more for this piece. Alright, I got that piece all screwed down. So quickly, I'm going to take the 2 screws that I have holding the middle piece down out. I'm going to go ahead and take this big piece over here loose as well. Gallon of glue. I'll spill glue all over my shoe. It's probably way too much again, but that's okay. Things. I'm just going to kind of move that back and forth a little bit and look again. And yes, I am getting full coverage now. So we'll go back to our screws. We'll find our bit that fell out again. All that's feathered out pretty good. I'm just going to rake some of this excess up on this edge here. Make sure we have full coverage. I'm going to go to sandwich this other piece against that. There's more than enough coverage right there. We should get a nice squish out of that. Alrighty. I'm kind of guessing here, but I hope that's the way it went on there. It feels like it is. Go together a little easier. Yep. That bit is pretty much gone. I don't know if y'all can see that. It's pretty bad. There you go. I'm going to do some cleanup now. I'm going to wipe all the excess glue up and give it a good sand. And then, yeah, we're going to put the top piece on that, and that'll be our top layer of our sandwich. I'll run around it with the flush trim bit just to make sure one time that it's completely square to the first piece, and then yeah, we'll start looking at how we're going to attach it to the bottom piece. Alrighty guys, as you can see, we got the sandwich piece on top. So now we have the full sheet, the segmented sheet, and another full sheet right there. So now I overcut this just slightly, the top piece, by just a 1/16, if even that. And so now we're just going to take our flush trim bit and we're going to go all the way around this thing. So yeah, I'm going to clean off my little window here so I can actually see what I'm doing. And we'll just slowly take our time and go around. Just any tips or tricks for somebody that's using a flush trim bit. It is tough when you're on the edge of a sheet of plywood like this. You just always make sure and put more weight on that side of the piece. I'm going to scoot that because it's wobbling a little bit. But that way when you're going around, you don't ever tilt. Because if you ever tilt, you'll dig into your piece down here just a little bit. And it'll leave you a nice little wavy portion, which is fine. You can sand it out and it'll seal good enough, But we don't want that if we can possibly help it. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this flush trim bit around here, make it all match, and yeah, here we go. Alrighty. The last thing I like to do is go back around with a sheet of sandpaper, and that just kind of takes down any burrs or anything. And there you go, y'all. That's about it. You know, it just goes to show you don't really have to have any specialized tools to do this. You know, if I technically wanted to, I could. I don't have to have the router. I don't have to have the flush trim bit. You know, as long as you have a circular saw and enough patience and time, you can do this stuff with no special tools needed. Like I said, my first 2 walls I built, I didn't have a router. So much dust. You know, even my roundovers, I just used sandpaper and a sander, a cheap sander at that I got at a garage sale. And I did all my roundovers with sandpaper, and it took a long time. You know, the big thing about having specialized tools is it makes a lot of this go faster a lot of the times. And yeah, you get straighter cuts. Are my cuts perfect? No, they're not. Are they close enough for some wood glue and PL? Yep, they sure are. And I guarantee you that when I put this together, this wall will just be just as strong as can be with no issues. So I've never had one of my walls come apart. Even the last one I did, when I built a shell in that Civic, you'd have to seen all the different parts and pieces I had to glue in and glue together. And, you know, I just smeared extra PL on it, and it did great. But as you can see, even this, again, is the cut perfect? No, but I mean, if you look down that's as flat as can be. Like I said, that's about as straight as an edge, and all these edges look like this, pretty much. So, I mean, that's gonna be no issue with that. So there it is, you guys. There's one side done. I think I'm gonna call it for the night, especially since my bit has completely bit the dust. I'm gonna have to. I actually found another Phillips head bit, and then that one stripped too. Like I said, some of those bits are old. They've been sitting in the shop for a long time. They're kind of rusty and weak. So I'm either gonna go buy some or find some better ones, some newer ones that are probably impact rated. Neither one of those are probably impact rated. Sorry guys, my nose is running like crazy. But yeah, so we're gonna wait for that glue to dry. It's still kind of oozing glue a little bit, so overnight it'll slowly sit there and ooze all of it out. All the extra glue will find its way out of there, and then we'll take our sander and hit the edges one more time. And then I'm gonna have to try to find a way. That's gonna be the big thing. I'm gonna have to try to find a way to pull the bottom out just enough and keep it propped up on the vehicle so that I can attach the wall and then slide it back in, because I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. When I get it done, I'm going to slide the wall out, attach the wall, and slide it back in. And I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do that at least for the bottom, the sides, the angle piece, and the top. If I can find a way to easily slide it in and out to attach those pieces, that would be great, because all that extra, all the wood that's completed, I'm attaching and putting it in the Tahoe because I don't have space for it in here. So I could technically build these and just build them all out and have them, all the parts sitting here, and then assemble it here, but I would have to build some sort of table, and frankly I just don't want to spend the extra $100 to $150 in lumber that it's going to take to build a table for this, just so I can then build the box, slide it in, and then literally have to disassemble the table. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to build the parts here on this little plastic table and then slide the box in and out of the Tahoe as we need to. So hopefully that plan works. We'll see if it changes. It may. But yeah, that's going to be all for this video. I'm probably going to go ahead and cut this video here and make this one, because it's probably around 15 or 20 minutes long, which that's kind of what these have been so far. But yeah, so hopefully next time we come back, it'll be us sliding the box out and starting to attach some walls and see it start taking shape. I'm starting to get excited. All right, guys. I'll catch you later. Bye.